Continuum supports me in my work as a human rights psychotherapist and a dance movement therapist working in human rights contexts. Dance therapy nourishes me in so many ways, but there was a certain demand. So where those demands were, Continuum was the nourishment. Over the years, they've come slowly together. There was a point where I just remember I was like, I'm going to just start sneaking a little Continuum into dance therapy. I remembered particularly it was with one client who was a survivor from Iraq who had lived in the same town as Saddam Hussein. It's been her whole life with the fear that anybody in her family could disappear because that's what happened. And therapy and dance therapy and lots of good, really solid attempts to work with her, and she really wanted to find her body again. She developed a lot of weight, and I just said, will you try something different? I just had this feeling, and she said, sure, try anything. I'm tired of suffering. And we did some lunar breaths. And I brought a yoga mat in for that session. We did some lunar breaths, and I remember she just opened up her eyes, and she just looked at me, and she said, this is what a body's supposed to feel like. I'm home. She said, I just found my body. And from that moment on, I started to layer Continuum into dance therapy and layer dance therapy into Continuum, and they've merged together. Every time I came out of Rwanda or Kosovo or some of the places I was working, I was fine, and I was really sick. I had a really bad cough. My back went out. So there would be some aspect of my health, my wholeness, my wellness that would be affected. And when I went to Darfur, which was probably one of the most dangerous places I've ever been, there's a certain magic. The landscape has this really deep tawny rose-colored sand that's like silk. Camels, the way that they move, white robes, so there's all this beauty, and then there's all this not beauty, there's the war. But every night I would lay in bed, and I had to sleep under one of those big, thick mosquito nets because of those camel spiders there. And I would do the lunars. And it was the first time that I had really, I would say, had a really conscious practice. Like it was like kind of like a lullaby or a prayer you do when you're a little kid. I would just get into bed, I would be ready for it, and I would do the lunars until I drifted off. And I would do the lunars with the landscape when I was walking around. And I remember I went home from that trip, and I remember my husband Carl looking at me and he said, there's usually some suffering that comes home with you. And he said, I've never seen you so light and so uplifted. And he said, what was different this time? And I thought about it, I realized it was the way the lunars connected with the beauty of that place. They were the perfect breath. And I mean, I was doing movement explorations, but the perfect breath to go with the sound of the wind at night. I was in a little hut, the coolness coming through, the shape and color of the sand, the hills, the movement of the camels. And ever since I've done Continuum or started teaching Continuum and carrying it, quite honestly, I don't feel as burned out. I don't feel as stressed out. I always say everyone has a right to embody their body in the way that they choose. So that's really the spirit of this work. So the creativity of health is also acknowledging that we can be empowered to move ourselves from when we're in the more ailing places to places of more wholeness.